Okay, cool. This will be fun. Now, where does this go?
It goes on my YouTube channel.
Your YouTube. Okay.
Yeah, Tarot Map, it's called.
What's it called?
Tarot Map.
Tarot, yeah, right. Yeah. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So I could steer people.
Yeah, I will send you the link. Yeah.
Oh, do that, please.
Yeah, I will. So
great. Thank you. Yeah.
Hello everyone. These were our blippers before we officially welcome you. So welcome to Tarot Map and Inspired Tarot Map. And this time I'm hosting James Wanless, who has been around for a long time and
yeah, right.
really inspiring to me. And I shared this with you, James, just before I pressed recording, but I actually got my first ever tarot reading from someone with your deck, with the Voyager tarot. So I'm pretty sure that everybody who's watching it knows James. If there's anybody who doesn't, James is the creator of Voyager Tarot, which has been around for nearly 36 years and still going strong and growing. And James reads tarot, James wrote books. James is the creative kind of modern alchemist.
Thank James. You. I'll take that. Yeah.
Yes, you're a scientist, you're esoteric kind of teacher, tarot teacher, and very inspiring person. On your website, you write you're 74 years young.
And that was a few years ago.
Oh yes. Yeah. Well, you've got to update your website.
Oh yeah, I know. Like, okay, if you're over 70,
you don't care anymore.
You know, he's an old guy.
Whatever.
I don't think so.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm really honored and really awesome, like very happy that you agreed to, come onto Tarot Map. And we just exchanged a few emails when you were in hospital recently. And I was just, so excited that everything went well, that you're back and healthy and can still inspire us. So that's really wonderful. So James, could you just tell us briefly who your ancestors are, like where you're from, who's got your back?
I once talked to, and astrology, of course. I once had an astrologer, and the astrologer said, you're not from the Pleiades. Whoa, okay. Not from the Pleiades, the Seven Sisters or whatever, and I said, that's fine. And then she said, you're from Sirius, the dog star. And I loved that. So I've been I'm a Voyager, I'm a traveler. So I travel all over the world, and in North Africa, there's a lot of these cultures that are sort of half Black African and half Arab and in between. And they was one village I visited there, and it was all about the dog star. It was paintings of Sirius. And I felt, and this is years and years ago, and I felt so connected to that. So anytime somebody says, where are you from?
You say from Sirius.
Woof, woof, I bark. I'm from the dog star, But I'm not sure if you're asking about those ancestors.
Oh, I quite like this answer. That's pretty cool.
It's way cool. It's really cool. But my father was actually a pilot for a great airline called Pan American Airlines, which is a great American Airlines, no longer exists. But he was a Voyager. I mean, I grew up in Rio de Janeiro in Brazil because my father was working down there. So I started traveling very early, and that's why I like to go places, I think. My life card's the Chariot. I'm a 7, and 7s go. And that's why I'm a Voyager, I think. But I must say, of all my grandparents and ancestors that have inspired me the most would be my grandfather. My grandfather was a medical doctor, a physical doctor, a medical doctor in India as a missionary, and he started a hospital there, and it's still there, his hospital. But my grandfather was knighted by the King of England, and so he's Sir William James Wanless. But he inspired me because he was of such service. I mean, he lived with purpose, and he brought service to the planet and to the Indian nation at the time. And I always wanted to do that. I grew up never wanting money. I don't money. I don't what's money really, you know. So I was never into business and any of that. But I really wanted to be of service somehow. And I thought maybe I'll become a doctor too, a medical doctor, but that didn't really work out. So I became a doctor, a PhD in governance and political science. But I still love to be of service to the planet. That just really, really makes me feel wonderful.
It's okay. Thank you for sharing. And that's actually, I find, you know, like when I just saw your deck and just, I've been following you for a few years. It's not like I've discovered you yesterday. And I always felt like I feel drawn to people who are like, you know, those Renaissance people that like they have different interests. And we shared that you have a moon in Sagittarius. I'm a Sagittarius. There is this tweak of like that explorer archetype that is really big. And I also love to travel. And I read on your website, which I would love to like just ask you about, that you wrote that in 1974 that you had a life-threatening disease.
Yeah.
So I think you kind of had a meeting with death, right? That was that serious? Or
well, it was hepatitis.
Okay.
And so all of a sudden I got yellow, completely yellow, and I couldn't even get out of bed. And this is in Kathmandu, in Nepal, which is a very poor place in 74. And I never even got to a doctor. And I thought, oh God, this is it, you know. But then I heard there was a meditation course going on for Western people like myself at a Tibetan Buddhist monastery outside, outside Kathmandu in Nepal. Yeah. So I went and I stayed there for a month, and every day did the Buddha gold light meditations and Om and chanted and all this. And that changed my life, and it cured my hepatitis. I walked out of there in a month with no medication, just Buddha gold light meditations and all of that. And I was totally healthy again. But as I say, I had been up to that time a university professor, and I was like, okay, I was good at it, and it was nice and all that, but it wasn't my calling, you know. And so I went to India and Nepal for meditation and all that. I didn't realize that I would have to go learn meditation or save myself. But once after that experience in the monastery, I was not going to go back to be a university professor. I was on the spiritual path. And when you're on the spiritual path, you can't get off of it. You know, it's
you probably still can be a professor and be on spiritual path, right? But I guess we're talking now 70s, and you have been teaching. What have you been teaching at university?
Where?
At university, what were you?
I taught. Well, that was interesting. I taught in Egypt at the American University in Cairo. And that was really interesting. And then I went from there into Beirut, and this is before the war and all the craziness in Lebanon. And I taught at an Armenian university, but it was in English, and I taught political science there, basic government 101 kind of stuff, really basic stuff. But which is interesting. It's interesting. It's okay. But I was more interested after my trip to India and around the world and all that in the politics of ourselves. How do I make decisions? How do I govern myself? Because we're complex, as you know, Casey. There's a lot of different sub-personalities in us, and which one's in control here? How do I direct myself. So I got much more interested in self-politics.
So after this month of doing the meditation, have you actually practiced meditation? Have you been practicing meditation since?
Ever since then. And then I traveled around India for another half a year, going into 10 days silence meditation, 10 days of silence. But this is all, it was called Vipassana Buddhist thing, but it's mindfulness. Heavy. And I still do mindfulness now, and it feels different, and it's different, but it works. And I think meditation is really almost a necessity, particularly in the modern day world, because it's so crazy and weird and wild. We need that way, that state of total relaxation without being asleep. It's so useful and helpful.
It's actually, I can agree, because I've done Vipassana as well. I've
been
through 3 of those 10 days.
Oh, really? Yeah, you know it.
Here in Poland,
my God.
We have a big center now. Like now it's like a professional center, but before that they used to also rent like during winter, actually, they used to rent like a holiday resort.
Right.
So we didn't have the singular cells. Only the last time I went in the new center, we had like, the singular cells, which was awesome. But yeah, I totally agree.
It should be part of education.
Totally.
But I don't think, because when I made Voyager, started making Voyager in 1981, I don't think, and I got into Tarot a couple of years before that with classic traditional Tarot in 1977, 78 in San Francisco. But I wouldn't have made the Voyager deck if I didn't really believe in going inside myself and seeing everything is within me. Because up until then, I'd been a researcher. I read other people's books and studies and all of that outside. Great. But this is, now I really believe that it's all here inside of us. And I could carry that inner experience out into making the Voyager deck. That's how it worked for me.
So actually, when you had the experience in 74 and then you've started doing meditation, you were still scientist, like you were a PhD, right? You kind of don't cut it out. And that's why I was laughing when I was writing my kind of points, that it's like usually science versus intuition, but with you, we can say science and intuition kind of united somehow. Or did you have any collisions? Like, how did you make these 2 words work for you?
That's very, very insightful, Casey. Thank you for that. There would have been collisions, but I just left. I left university. I just said, I'm done with that. I've done that up until age 30 or something like that. Enough. Yeah. And so that's why I went on this 4-year vision quest around the world. That's part of India and Africa and Asia and all that kind of stuff. So when I came back to America after 4 years outside the country, I was outside the professional, loop of being successful as a professor. I didn't want to do it anyway. Yeah. But I was heavy on the intuition track here. But I was always intuitive. Yeah. I mean, forever, even though I could do that scientific stuff, and I love it. I really love science. But to me, it's all about the marriage of both and left brain, right brain, intuition, science, inner, outer. It's all about the combination. That's where it all happens. And that's the truth. That is the truth.
Yeah. And how much we also need it in our worlds, like, when we look even at the patriarchy and how everything is a bit out of balance. And I think it ain't going to change unless, we start doing it.
Well, I mean, and even like with intuition, and I have a nice little book called Intuition at Work, which is very good for business and everyday intuition. It's not like crazy woo-woo kind of out there stuff. It's not psychic stuff, but a lot of so-called intuitions or intuitive people are it's not very pure. It's really coming out of the projection of their own life experience or their own personality. That's not pure intuition. And science has shown that. So, I mean, and science has shown that intuition actually is hardwired into our brain in the forebrain, the human forebrain, in the emotional part of the human forebrain. So it's not some kind of concept that only women are really good at. Not forget that. It's real.
Yeah.
But a lot of times we don't really know how it works. And that's why I love bringing the science and the intuition together. That to me is the most fun thing in life, is crossing over.
Yeah, I love that too, actually. And so how did you get into tarot then? Like when you were on this 4-year quest, like did you
Right.
just suddenly, so like how did it happen?
No, I didn't like tarot. What's that? And I, as a kid growing up, Casey, I didn't like cards. I didn't play card games. I was a baseball player, you know, and a football player. I was an athlete. I really love athletics. And cards, I'm not interested at all. So when I came back to America after 4 years outside the country on my vision quest to find myself, I had to pay the rent. You know, I got to make some money here, you know? So I started teaching in San Francisco at these little schools. And I taught at this Institute of Asian Studies. And I would teach meditation courses, but meditation courses based on nature. I got very much into nature. Nature's always been actually my teacher, my mentor is Mother Nature, actually. So I'd take my little classes out into great parts of California and the redwood trees and the ocean and beaches and and that eventually led me to meet one of my colleagues at this Institute of Asian Studies, a great, who became my teacher. And I just had a reading with her one day and I said, whoa, I like this. I mean, my life cards explained to me so much of who I am. In fact, I said, I could do this and I'm gonna do this. I took a class. I started reading tarot cards, almost starved that first year in San Francisco. I lived in my office. I didn't care. I was following my bliss. It worked for me. And so that's how I got into it. I just said, it works. And I just jumped in and I had wonderful teachers. That was great.
Awesome. So then after doing this and reading for others for a while, you thought like, oh, I don't like those tarot decks that I see. I need to make one. Like,
I didn't say that. I didn't say that, but
assumptions.
Well, no, it's pretty accurate. Well, no, I don't. You know what I don't like about the traditional tarot? So several things. Okay, fine. The medieval, classic, even Christian based, and very patriarchal, very masculine. I don't like swords. I don't like swords and blood. I mean, like I said to myself, well, if they're going to have violence in this deck, I don't want to look at this crap all the time. Why do we have guns? You know, or whatever. It's ridiculous. So I said, if I ever make a deck, I'm going to get rid of swords. And I don't like kings and queens, by the way. How many kings and queens did Poland have now? Not many. America didn't have, I mean, you know. No, let off with their heads. We don't, royalty, these are old world, you know, systems that we used to work 400 years ago. I was thinking the 21st century. And by the way, old tarot is all white people from Western Europe. I said, sorry, that's not the world anymore. Not to what I've experienced traveling around the world a few times. So I wanted to make a deck that was truly multicultural, you know, and that's why when you look at Voyager, you get stuff from everywhere simultaneously. Like that integrity card you just put.
I pulled before our meeting. I pulled those.
Yeah, I mean, it's got the great blue, blue temple from Isfahan in Iran in there. It's got Mount Fuji in there. It's got a Native American with a staff of power. It's got an Alaskan sculpture piece. It's got the World Trade Center that was blown down in that card because it didn't have integrity. It was supposed to be the World Trade Center. It was the World Domination Center. Down, that's got to go. So, I mean, and the backbone to stand up for your truth. That card is gorgeous. And when we made, with Ken Knutson, my art partner, the wands cards, that's a suit of wands, were the last suit we made. And by the time, this is after 3 or 4 years of doing the art, we got really good at it. And the wands cards in Voyager we made last, and they, I think, are the best, the purest, the most beautiful.
You know, so when we think about how all the decades that it was came to life like around 80, from 81 to 85, you said, 4 years.
I made it. Yeah, right. And then 85, it was published.
Yeah, exactly. So, but I was just like, just admiring how kind of universal it still feels. That it's a great success, I think, when it comes to, I know it's a collage and maybe it's easier, but still you can make a collage deck that looks really 70s or looks really whatever.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
So I think it's really cool that you like managed to do the kind of universal vibe that it could be made yesterday also, or it could be made, it could be made in the 90s.
Well, God, thank you for saying that, because that was my intention and my vision. It's got to be timeless in a sense and not wedded to a culture. I mean, the first person, for example, who passed my certification course as a Voyager reader was an African-American.
Yeah.
And I said, Dr. Will, why Voyager? He said, James, it was the first deck I saw any Black people in there, stuff like that. And that's what it was. That's what it's about, it's truly for the entire planet. But the deck keeps going because, Voyager Tarot was named after those two little spacecrafts, Voyager 1 and Voyager 2, which is like the size of a little car. They're still out in space. They keep going. They are 12 billion miles away from Earth, 12 billion miles, and they still communicate back to Earth. And they're telling us what deep space, they're past our solar system. They're outside our own sun's gravity. But that's my hero. I named Voyager Tarot after them to explore the inner universe. The Voyager Tarot one, they're out the external, and all the pictures of those planets in Voyager Tarot are from the Voyager spacecraft.
Yeah.
There. So they keep going. Yeah, those are 9 full moons. But the Voyager spacecraft keep going, but they're my hero. And I follow them. So I keep going. And Voyager keeps going, and I keep writing a new book, and I'm developing a new psychology around it. So I keep evolving it. It's not like, this is the way it is. Oh, I'm so sorry. It keeps growing, expanding, evolving, because that's what the universe is. So we have to live like the universe, because that's what Voyager is.
Yeah. So do you think this passion for life, for change, for learning, does it come from, like, did you have to learn it, or were you just lucky enough to just by grace receive all this energy, and just, or did you actually somehow throughout your life, learn to
It's a great
build
question.
up your energy, or is it just?
I think in my DNA, and the backside of Voyager's DNA here, I think it's in my DNA to love life. It's true, but things can happen, but being on the spiritual path, I've learned to get in connected with the life force, to be taken by the life force. And when you're on that flow, that wave of life, woo! I mean, it's about aliveness. To me, actually, when people ask me what path am I on, it's not so much enlightenment. I mean, I think I'm a light, and I like to be a beacon of light and all that, but it's really about aliveness. I want to be mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually turned on to life. And Casey, I can see myself still doing readings at 101 or whenever I'm going to croak and I'm going to die. I could be on my deathbed still. Pick a card. Let's see what that is.
So that's actually, James, because like I wanted to ask you, because I'm reading professionally as well, but I'm kind of find myself this year a little bit like just uninspired, maybe because of, I don't know, like maybe it's just one of the cycles. I have Pluto square moon. Maybe there's just something I have to, work through.
Right.
I know that it's not that is something that I love. Like I love tarot. I love astrology. I would love to teach more, but I was just wondering how someone who's been doing it for so many years, keeps doing it and being happy about it. And like that's where, like, you know, I would love to be turned on this kind of passion, because I know what it feels like when you're on that wave. Like it's
absolutely. Well,
and
I think with my career, 35 years of doing Voyager, is I travel all over the world teaching it, and I love to teach.
But like, how did you start? You weren't famous straight away. Like, how did you get to actually even, was it because you published a deck, so it opens the doors? And yeah, that's
right. That's right, Casey. When's your deck coming out? But you know, but it's about creativity.
Yeah.
So stay creative. I don't care whatever you create. That's the ultimate therapy, by the way. And that is the life force. We come from the creative life force. So let's live in that flow of creativity. So when you get stagnant, just start creating something. Like just start making a deck. I'm going to make the magician or whatever that turns your heart on. Don't think practically. That is a problem. Follow this. And if it says, oh, I love it, you do it. Love it and do it. That's the key. And we'll make mistakes and all that. You know, my favorite word now, Casey, is, you know, we all procrastinate. Because we think about it, we judge it. And it's not good enough. And I don't know if I really like it that much. And should I and can I and will, blah, 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 blah. And then we don't do anything. My favorite word is precrastinate. Which is to jump in before you're ready. Before you're ready, do it. And that is the fool in the tarot. In Voyager, it's the fool child. Like a kid's like, oh, look at that. They jump in and, you know, whatever happens. But that to me, that is where it's at completely. And actually, that's how I started making Voyager with my friend Ken, the artist, who's a next door neighbor. And one day we were drinking coffee. Coffee is a very powerful drug, by the way. Have you ever seen spiders on drugs? They did a study of spiders on different drugs.
Yeah.
Like LSD, marijuana, cocaine, you know, the basic kind of stuff. By far, the weirdest spider webs ever made by spiders was on caffeine.
The rarest, like the weirdest kind of, or
oh yeah, because they were on caffeine, which is coffee.
So basically, if we look for some symmetry, a sacred geometry, that wouldn't be coffee.
No. I mean, it's insane. I mean, it's got holes in it. It's the worst piece of spiderweb crap I've ever seen. So anyway, I'm drinking some coffee with Ken, and I came out of my mouth out of nowhere. I said, Ken, who was an oil painter. He did great nature, you know, big California landscapes, oil, big stuff. I said, Ken, let's make the magician. And I don't know where that came from, but it came out under the influence of caffeine. And he said, yes. And then he said, well, who's that? Who's that? I said, because he knew nothing about the tarot, which is perfect. He was zero. In the tarot, the zero card is the fool. In Voyager, the fool child. Totally open, no prejudgment, no procrastination, no nothing, only intuition. So he was totally open. And by that time, and I picked a card from another deck who I was in making a Voyager before he even had a name for Voyager. And I picked the Emperor. And the Emperor is very structured, logic. I know the business, maybe. I know how to organize it and build it. And Ken, the fool, like, wow, whatever, sure, give me the card, give me the stuff, and let's make it. You know? And that's how we worked. If the fool child in you and the emperor, empress in you can come together, wow, that's a hell of a team.
Yeah. You know, like I have the Aries on vocation point on MC, like on top of my chart. And I actually totally agree what you said about creativity, and that I think it's the best advice one can give to anyone who's stuck. And it doesn't even, you know, because I sometimes find myself like getting stuck because I'm trying to be creative in tarot field. You know what I mean? And sometimes you really have to step out to get inspired, and you will be back what you
love. Well, and access the inner child.
Totally, exactly. Because, you know,
And
like
that,
I used to teach hula hoop and hoop dance. I used to make like crystal wands with, you know,
oh,
I
wow.
just,
Yeah.
and I made professions out of it for whatever, however short period of time, you know, but I actually agree that when you love something and you just stop doing it, it's happening. Most of the times it's happening for, like, you can still sustain yourself somehow, maybe not necessarily
Right.
all the time and only through it, but if you do it, you
Right.
probably will make
And,
it.
so, yeah, so in like making Voyager, for example, I didn't, I sort of had an idea. I went multicultural and stuff like that, but so what? I didn't know what any cards were going to look like. Nothing like that. And I didn't, but it was only in the doing
Mm.
that I got it. I got it. You know, and people said, well, how did you channel Voyager and go into deep meditation? I said, no, but I gave myself a channel number, 88, 88. And I don't know why, it was just 88. And so when people said, what were you channeling? I said, oh, I was channel 88, whatever that means. Because I did so much meditation at the time, I think that's what was happening.
Yeah.
But it was only last year. I mean, this is like 35 years later.
Yeah.
I realized that in our Milky Way galaxy, there are 88 constellations.
Oh,
88. And I'm like, oh my
Voyager.
God, you know, how great is
That's
that?
so cool.
It is way cool.
I love when that happens, when you like connect the dots after so many years and you're like,
After so many years. But you know, what also saved me, my creativity is, I mean, I have a whole nother deck of cards, green wisdom. It's all nature
that's
based.
Oracle deck, right?
Yeah. It's called Sustain Yourself cards, 101 cards. And it's all about, boy, I don't even know if I have it here, but it's all about being able to sustain our long lives, because we live, I think one of the biggest revolutions in our lives, other than technology and politics and and stuff like that, is the length of our lives.
Yeah.
And we don't know how to live long and live healthy and live well and live happy and live creative. You know, we think we're old. Hell, I'm almost 78 and old. If old, that's no. So I started last 12 years ago. I was supposed to retire at 65, 66, whatever. And I said, I'm not going to retire. I'm going to refire, you know. But how to do that? Where is my model? Where's my teacher? Where's my mentor? Aha, nature. Nature has been around billions of years. Human beings, we're very new. We're very young. So how does nature keep going and going and going? So I started making these little collages, these little cards, these 101 cards, and it's about sustaining a long life, but it's sustainable success. But that's what I love. I mean, I've become a green man. I'm Captain Voyager, of course, with Voyager, but I'm also the green man. And I've written lots of green books, and I followed the green path. And so that's a whole nother part of my life. And that really keeps me going. And now it's bringing me back to Voyager again. And Voyager is going back out again. So it keeps, you know, feeding each other. It's synergy. It's synergy. Yes,
The
absolutely.
synergy and the cycle, right, of this.
Yes, exactly.
So you called Voyager GPS for the soul, and you are using it in a very psychological way. And you said now that you also like deepening like the kind of psychological side.
Right.
So do you still teach? Like if
Oh,
somebody wanted
I
to
teach.
study with you?
I'm almost busier now than before.
Yeah.
Because it's Zoom.
Yes.
I mean, I'm Zooming all over America. I'm Zooming to Japan a lot.
Yeah.
Probably more to Japan than anywhere else. And it's all teaching. It's all teaching. So
basically, if anyone listens, they can go to your website, which will be linked below, and they can find the courses, online courses on your website.
Yeah. But everything's a little bit chaotic right now because, you know, it's just sort of chaos. But James Wanless Oracle, it's in my new website, jameswanlessoracle.com. And sometimes my schedule's up there, sometimes it's not. But I do a lot of, I have a course now on Teachable, which is a platform, and I have a whole Voyager reader certification program, 10 different videos, new ones I made on Teachable, and that stuff works. So going digital, you can I don't have to travel, get on a plane and go somewhere.
Yeah. And that also helps, I think, right? Because now, yeah, it would be just basically, you wouldn't be able to do that. So.
Well, I'm not here in Warsaw, am I?
Yeah.
Although I'd love to be in Warsaw.
Yeah, I have to say that James told me before we started recording that he came to Poland in '60s. And I had to say, oh my God, that's before I was born. So he knew my country before I knew my country.
I'm an old guy, right? God, it's so funny, Casey. I mean, I just feel so young again.
Yeah.
And what really saved me is the last couple of years I've had three different kinds of cancer.
Yeah.
I've had cancer all over the place. And then pandemic came. And so now I'm home alone, living alone, and trying to heal myself from a lot of radiation and all this kind of stuff, chemotherapy and everything. And the cards saved me. The cards actually became my friends, my ally, my healer, my therapist.
So if people are sitting here listening to you and they go like, but how? Like, what did you do with them? Did you pull them every day or how?
Yeah, I do a card a day.
Yeah, me too.
To me, a card a day keeps the therapist away. So I'd say, well, who do I want to talk to today? Who should I connect with today? Who's my friend today? Pick a card. And then I pick the card. And actually the priestess card you keep showing up there on the screen, she was my mentor in getting healthy through all this cancer stuff, because she's about going deep within and doing it yourself. That's kind of the meditator card. And so I turned my aloneness into wholeness by becoming friends with all 78 parts of me through the 78 cards. So I'd pick a card and I would actually talk to the card. I'm a real believer. I love the child's play. And Carl Jung, great Jungian psychology, was called active imagination. Imagine your God, goddess, therapist, or whatever, and have a conversation with closed eyes with that imagination. And that's what I do. So it's not just a piece of paper. These are characters inside of us and in the ethers and whatever. So we access that through the magic of our imagination. And it is magic. It's magic. It's magic. So if I were you, Casey, for example, and I was doing a reading with you, I would suggest one thing you could do. God, I hate it when readers and psychics and therapists say, well, you should. Oh, don't should on me. Or you need to. Oh, don't tell me that. I say you could. Think about this. Maybe, possibly, because I like to be gentle that way. You might take a look in the Voyager deck at the art card, which is your Sagittarius card. And the art card is all about creativity. Major creativity, but it's like the rainbow of the alchemists of bringing together all these different ideas and abilities that you have and marry them and bring them into like a deck or a book, whatever, or a practice, but be original with it, be authentic with it, and not just do the same old at all. You want to be unique, different, but then people will say, okay, so what are you doing? You're crazy. I mean, they would, my friends in high school would say, Jim, you're crazy. You've lost it. You're doing tarot. You're a tarot reader now and all this kind of stuff. So you have to be willing to have the backbone to stand up for wow, look, that's your life card.
Yeah. That's okay for me. I can take it. I have a backbone for this. I practice already.
Right. Right. And look at the spider in there, the spider web weaving down in the lower corner.
About it. Yeah.
But you're a rainbow person. You're a rainbow, But the rainbow's the weaving, and that's why I wear this. It's kind of my way of being. It's the weaving together of all our different dimensions.
Yeah, and I think I love that also. That's why I always thought, even for a long time, that I cannot have one job. Like I just always, had to have something, because I get bored so easily. And fortunately, tarot, because it's so, as you said, like it's expansive. It expands as we expand. The tarot and our understanding of it expands and changes. Astrology is the same. It's not static. Right? It's kind of changing. So I think these disciplines, that just so amazing, and so like they never stop. That I just don't get bored with them, so I keep going.
Yeah, what's great, what I love about the way you call yourself, or this interview, the tarot map, on YouTube, the map, because readings for me are roadmaps.
Yeah,
I don't do fortune telling, I do fortune creation, and the cards are the map, the treasure map, the roadmap, the map that shows us how to navigate our lives, particularly in these days. But the map doesn't get you anywhere. You have to follow the map. You have to become the map. And that is really what the tarot is all about, is in becoming the map, the 78 cards, you grow into who you are meant to be in this lifetime. And that to me is our ultimate life purpose, to be all that we are purposed to be. And that's not easy, and it takes time. And even these days, it's like, for example, I'm becoming now, as I grow, because I'm having time alone, I'm becoming an artist. And I'm like, oh my God, an artist? Am I an artist? I don't know. But I had an art opening a couple months ago, of my new art, of a new deck I'm making. And so it's a whole new part of me that 10 years ago, 5 years ago, I said, that's ridiculous. I'm not an artist. I can help people, But no, but now, so the point is, with the Voyager psychology, is we all are so much greater than we think we are. We oppress ourselves and keep ourselves small and limited. And the cards, through their power of symbols and color and surprise and synchronicity, bring us out. So be that artist, Cassia. That's what I'm looking for. And I want to know what's going
And like, this is such a good advice also for anyone. I always think of people who like want to start reading, for example, cards, or, and they don't know their style, and people start like try to imagine their style or think ahead about their style. That's what my advice always was, the same like as you just shared, like you do it and your style will emerge from you doing it. Like I didn't know that, like I started with email readings. I fucking hate email readings. Oh my God, like I would die if I had to do email readings for, I don't know how much I would have to charge to do email readings. So I knew that, but I did it for 2 years, I did those email readings for 2 years till I just hit the wall and thought like, no way. I'm like, video? I can do video readings? Amazing, anytime. But like astrology and tarot, how do you mix it? Like, so I think for people, like if they watch and they kind of go, oh my God, I want to, do tarot now because they watch James and I want to do this.
Well, it's exciting.
Yeah.
Just look at the way you're talking.
Yeah.
When you start talking about doing something original, like, wow, you come alive. And I did the tarot readings the way you're supposed to do them.
Yeah.
And I just got so bored and like, oh no, I can't keep doing. No, we have to do something different. So that's it. Puts us out, and I like the so-called negative cards because they wake us up.
Yeah.
Like I have a card in Voyager called dullness. Instead of crystals, it's a pile of rocks. Just rocks, like duh. I don't have any curiosity. I don't believe in myself, no confidence. I'm procrastinating. You are dull as a rock, so we have to get out of that. And that's about regenerating and renewing yourself. And to me, it's all about renewability, regeneration, restart.
But you based Voyager kind of vaguely on Tough Tarot, not Rider-Waite-Smith, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
It was Tough Tarot like your, did you like it more than Rider-Waite-Smith, or why did you pick Tough?
My teacher just taught the Crowley deck. That was all. I mean, I didn't really, at that point, I didn't really care. I mean, you know,
Magician.
I'm good at systems. I saw a system, a self system for self-governing, like a political system that I'm really good at identifying. But the symbols have to change. Clothes change, styles change, fashion change, consciousness changes. So I can't believe that some people are still doing this old style medieval tarot, unless you want to go back in time. That doesn't apply at all to the 21st century. I don't get it. I really don't get it.
Well, there is this beautiful, like, you know, I actually had a moment in 2000, maybe 16 to 2000, or 2015 to 2017, that I thought I'm going to chuck away every deck I have except for like Tarot de Marseille. I fell in love with the simplicity of Tarot de Marseille, that there is no esoteric stuff attached, and just geometry of it, and how the symbols kind of, you know, you could, like Three of Swords didn't have the heart that it pierced.
Right.
It could mean as much as it could mean, you know, a painful situation. It could mean like going through some blockage. It could mean creative thinking. It could mean so many different things. It's really basically where it was up to you. So, but yeah, I just get bored. So after
did you do that?
I did do that. And I kind of, I feel like I was one of the people who actually introduced the Tarot de Marseille back into tarot community on YouTube, because then I was one of the first people who were actually like, I was learning myself and I was doing YouTube videos while I was learning, you know. I was like, so it was like, and like a lot of people just, you know, started thinking about Tarot de Marseille and doing it. Like, I'm not saying I was the only person, because there was more, of course, people to do it, but there wasn't much about it when I was like really into it. But I was glad I didn't chuck away my decks, because 2 years later I'm like, oh God, no, I couldn't just do just the historical decks. That wouldn't cut it for me. So no, please.
No, but yeah, you're right. I mean, the tarot world can be very, I don't know, you know, stuck. Oh, this is my deck and none of this other stuff and da da da. I mean, it's not the most. I mean, there's a lot of new decks that are beautiful art. They're art decks. It's a great art medium. I'm not sure how you're going to grow yourself and navigate life and evolve and all that from a fairy deck. I like fairies, and you know, I like angels, but you know, it's entertaining. It's entertaining, but tarot for me is way deeper and more important than that. For sure, you know.
No, that's really cool. So right now, just for people, because we're going around an hour. If you still have time, I'm cool, but I just don't want to keep you very long. I was thinking just for some information, just to make sure that people also can check your website. I will link it all below, and people will find you. And I have those cards that I wanted to ask you some questions. Okay. Is it okay? Can we play? Yeah. So I'm going to use those skin deep cards, edition strangers, just because we've never met before. So, you know. Okay. I have friends and strangers. I picked strangers, but let's see.
These are question cards, is that right?
They're question cards. So
I see, my question is, what's my question? What is my question? That is the best question of all. The question. So pick a card, or I could, whatever, however you do it. What's the question? Yeah.
What's the question? Okay.
Questions are more important than answers by far. And
that's a silly question, actually, because it's what's your favorite thing about me? But well, you can answer if you want to, but what's your favorite thing about me? But I pick another one.
Well, about myself, in other words.
No, you. What's your favorite thing about me? That's the
I love your fingernail polish.
Oh, thank you. Okay, so not the best question. The next question is, what's your biggest hope for the future?
Oh God, that we move from economy to community, that we move from money to humanity. You know, that we treasure people, humanity, and life, and all life on earth, and earth life, and mother nature. Because this idea of, I gotta achieve and be great and make money and be successful and all that, Really, it's not about that. That's quantity of life. What we want is quality of life, and quality only comes when we're together, for
Mm,
sure. Yeah,
totally. I so
yeah,
agree.
yeah,
That's
and
beautiful.
particularly together with nature, like the backside of Voyager's DNA. Which, if you look at the DNA of every life form on Earth, from a worm to bacteria to whatever, that's a nice way. It's essentially, to the human eye, the same as that, and that's the human DNA,
Mm.
which proves that we're all family. We are all related. So when you ask me my ancestors, I could say, well, I come from horses.
Yeah.
I'm a horse guy. I'm a
Yeah.
horse person. I could say that because it's true. We are all related here. And that's why I've even made, by the way, Casey, I've made 3 other decks, animal decks. I
Yeah.
have a white squirrel deck that's really cute. And then online, I have a happy dog deck, 101 dog cards. And then I have the exceptional rooster deck. Oh, talk about leadership, the rooster.
Yeah,
You
that,
know,
that fits you. Exceptional rooster.
but they're on my website, jameswanless.com. Yeah.
Yeah, I will link both of those, that .org and this one, so people can take a look. I've seen only that nature oracle, few cards of them, because a friend sent me a few of those cards somehow, and yeah, but I don't
But
know.
it's very amazing, and this is true, that talking about environment, climate change, nature, all of that is not sexy. People don't find that interesting. They
Mm,
don't gravitate towards that. So to bring the environment, we are nature. We are, and I wash my hands every day in dirt and soil, and I make art out of that. People think I'm a slob. I'm a terrible human being. I just love, we're made from soil. We are the soul that comes from soil. I'm just saying, hey, love your ancestors, where we come from.
mm.
And but people don't find that interesting. But nature rules. I mean, when nature goes crazy, we're like, oh, okay.
Yeah,
Human beings are so arrogant. Humans, we have to have a big change in humanity. Oh God, I don't know.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's happening, but we might not live to see it, but it's happening.
Well, I want to pick one card for 2021 for the
Yeah.
world. For
Okay.
the world. Now, so while I'm shuffling the cards, you tell me when to stop.
Okay.
Casey, this is Casey's.
It's Kasha. Kasha.
Oh, Kasha. Oh,
Yeah.
sorry. Kasha. Okay, so tell me when to stop, Kasha.
Okay. Stop.
Okay, this is 2021. I got my thumb on a card here.
Okay.
Okay, and it is purity. Wow. This is a gorgeous card.
I
The
like
Two
it.
of Wands. The
Okay.
Two of Wands, which is a priestess card,
Mm.
cool blue. And I didn't care what other decks said about the two of whatever.
Mm.
I wanted to make a holistic psychology. That's 2. So they're all going to be cool blue like her, and they're all going to be qualities of her, mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually. So she comes from the light and sees the light and doesn't project what she wants to see or doesn't want to see, sees the truth. So this is about the truth. So I think because the world's gotten so screwed up, and particularly America's in a bad way. And this is an incredible opportunity to clean up a lot of misconceptions and erroneous beliefs here, and to see the light and to see the way of light, the truth. Oh God, I hope so.
Yeah. We all do, right?
Oh my gosh,
It's
absolutely.
time. It's time.
Yeah. And also I picked another card my
Yeah.
underneath, and I picked the Woman of Wands. I don't have queens. This is the Woman of Wands. She is a wow. I mean, this is the shamaness. She's the white witch. I mean, she's the psychic, the clairvoyant, the tarot reader, all that kind of stuff. But it's a female. And I really believe the future of Earth and the world is feminine, females, women. I go to the women's marches. Because I just really believe in women, and I would hope that this would come true. So women need to step up and step into the light and take the power.
Yeah,
Whoa.
and I hope that when I believe in women too, as much as I believe in men, but I think, yes, women, I hope that women will take the power and that men will have the power to also take the power. So we all kind of, I just really want that.
Well, and it takes a lot of male power to be vulnerable.
Yeah. Well,
to
you
share power and
lessons.
all that. I mean, that takes a lot of inner strength to do that.
Yeah.
Because this patriarchal male stuff is a big problem
for both
in the world.
Feminine and masculine, right?
Yeah, the feminine thing is like, whoa, come on. Everybody needs to wake up. Wake up here. Wow.
Yeah. Well, that's our wishes. I'm with you on this one. I'm just going to pull a card for you, James, then.
Okay. Oh, good. All right. Okay, cool.
It's an artistic, like, it's just different. It's creative and life inspiration from the great artists. So it's interesting that you also, picking up on your artist archetype. Yeah. I didn't know that, but there you go.
Yep.
So one, no, well, then you can say stop now, okay? When you think.
Now.
Okay. This one. You got Albrecht Dürer.
Oh, so
and it says like, so for life advice, he says, one man's outbreak is another man's breakthrough.
Wow.
For work advice, know your perspective. And for inspiration, apocalypse then.
Then.
Apocalypse then.
Not now. Not apocalypse now.
Then.
Then. He was German or Swiss?
I think he was, yeah.
Might have been Swiss or I don't know. Whatever.
See. I think I can.
But that is interesting. See, this is a deck I can get interested in.
That's really cool. I bought it actually in like one of the, I went to a museum once and they had this museum shop. And they had
that's cool. Deck. That's very cool.
And just with all the, different.
Nice. Artists. Yeah, that's very nice.
It's funny. It makes
that is very laugh. Cool. Albrecht, Al.
Let me just see if there is. I can maybe just.
Well, I'll Google it and find it because Voyager is an art deck. I mean, all the major arcana card, the archetypes are all sculpture pieces from around the world, and I've seen a lot of it because I travel a lot and I love art. But yeah, wow.
He was German. He was German. Renaissance, and he was foremost a printmaker, and apocalypse was one of the subjects that he was exploring, kind of,
I love that. Apocalypse then is cool because Apocalypse Now is a great movie, in my opinion. I love that movie. But that is way cool.
Remind you of Jesus a little bit, like that.
Oh, way more than a little bit. I would say that's a Jesus card.
I love that. I love the Christ vibe here. That's pretty cool. Because
you know which card has the Jesus card in Voyager?
No, which one?
The Hanged Man.
Ah, yeah.
Because here it is. Yeah, here it is. Because well, that's upside down, and now I turned it around.
Yeah.
It's Christ on the cross. I mean, talk about hanging.
Ah, true.
And talk about.
I've never seen it.
Resurrection. In readings, I turn this card over. So this is where you're hung up, sacrifices, surrender, and then you do that, and whoa, Easter Sunday, new life, boom, I'm out. Yeah, that's a really gorgeous card.
Is there Mary card, or Mary would be probably maybe High Priestess.
Yeah, that would be Isis. Mary. Yeah, for sure.
Isis and Mary, I think they won, but yeah, I love that with the High Priestess that the moon looks like, like the eggshell a little bit, like she's.
Well, it is the moon, but it is like an eggshell. Yeah, exactly. So but down in the corner is the oracle, the temple down there of Delphi. Delphi, and that is in Greece, where anybody who was anybody in the old world would go to Delphi.
Yeah.
And I've been there, I think 4 times. I counted up recently, 4 times to Delphi in Greece. And every time I go there, I stand. There's actually the real chariot in the chariot card in Voyager is a statue that is still there at the oracle in Delphi. Here he is. it's a large bronze figure, the charioteer,
Yeah.
but large bronze that had a chariot in front of him and horses.
Yeah.
Actually, but now he's only there in the museum in Delphi. And I go there and I sit down in front of the charioteer and I said, okay, now where am I? Where am I? And where am I going? So I do that kind of a little quick reading. Where have I been? Where am I now? And where am I going? 3 cards in front of, but God, I love that. I'll tell you, Voyager retreats because then we become the cards. The funnest thing I do with the Voyager is to go someplace exotic and cool and become the cards. It's living tarot, living tarot. So you pick a card and you got to be it.
Yeah.
And if everybody picked in my group would pick the chariot, we would be chanting and prancing and running and moving and dancing. Move, move, move it, you know. If we picked the priestess, well, we'd all go into meditation.
So what's 8 in your in Voyager? Because now I can't remember, but I think it's justice, right? Or is it strength?
Is what?
8, number 8.
Is balance.
So
which would be justice.
Yeah,
justice. I like the word balance a lot.
I do like the better than justice.
Well, in the Crowley deck, that's the way he had it. He changed 8 and 11.
Yeah.
He just interposed them. But now that's an interesting story about that card, because briefly, every major archetype card in Voyager, there's 22 of them, are all sculpture pieces from around the world, except for that one. That's a real woman's face. We just put a little castle on top of her. It's Libra. So it's a very mental card, right brain, left brain, very great.
Yeah.
Great card. Okay, fine. Recently, a client of mine in Germany found this woman in the Canary Islands out in the Atlantic who was this woman.
No way.
This actual woman. And like, oh my God, I mean, this has never happened to me before. So we started emailing. And she's really old by now, an old woman, a shaman woman, or I don't know. But anyway, she turns out to be quite crazy, which shows you it's a very razor's edge. It's a very thin line between mentally balanced and mentally unbalanced. Because she sent me pictures of herself naked and this and that. And I go, oh God, no, I had to block her from my Facebook page even. She was whacked, totally whacked. But that's an interest, like, whoa.
That would be that kind of dark side of
yeah, exactly. Yeah. But to me, it's hard to stay mentally healthy these days.
Yeah.
You know, there's a real mental health crisis in the world, particularly in America. And that's why I'm really moving more towards psychology. And that's a major, major archetype for mental health. For sure.
Yeah, and you're so right. Wow, it's a powerful card, and I think also, you know, from astrology perspective, when so much of the cycles, like those big collective cycles, we're also changing from the earth element into air element, and a lot of astrologers are kind of pointing towards the need to really, like, this is.
Well, yeah. Let me ask you a question as an astrologer.
Yeah.
Okay, we know the 4 elements: fire, air, water, and earth. And then in the old world, the 5th element, the indivisible kind of spirit or whatever, they called ether, or maybe spirit or mystery or whatever. But physicists, astrophysicists, call it dark energy because they don't know how to explain this dark energy. But what's happened is Voyager 1 and 2 outside our solar system have found that in deep space, it's denser out there now than it was in the Milky Way. There's nothing out there, but there's more out there. So the astrophysicists are like, what the hell is this stuff? And they don't want to call it dark. They call it quintessence. Quintessence. Quint in Latin means fifth. Mm-hmm. It's the quintessential self, quintessence. And I just think that is such an important concept. And because I could go into meditation and I feel quintessential. I feel invisible, and I don't know, it's not fire, it's not air, it's not water, it's not earth, it's something else. And I'm just wondering what astrologers, what do you do about the 5th element or quintessence or ether?
I think like, because when I look also at planets, it's a little bit like with tarot. I kind of see it a bit more from this archetypal perspective, and that usually has that quintessential quality to it.
Right.
Even when you have elements, like you still, like I feel like if each of the element has that level of the quintessential, that fifth element would be part of the fire, of the earth, of water, like somehow that's how I explain it in my head. But also when you were talking about that dark matter, I've been doing a lot of kind of digging into the sacred feminine, and through this rediscovering like a goddess lineage, but through Mother Mary mostly, because it's close to my culture, but kind of freeing her out of the religion, and seeing her connection. And basically she's the only, not the only, but like in our culture, the only living goddess that's alive still, even though it's like being chopped off and robbed of sexuality and all of this.
Well, in Asia, it might be Kuan Yin.
Yeah, exactly.
The Voyager star card.
In Egypt,
same
it would
difference.
be Isis, in
Yeah,
Greece, it would be
absolutely.
Hecate, and I don't know, in Northern, she would be, black and white hell, or she
exactly.
would,
That's
whatever.
cool, beautiful, yeah.
But what's interesting was when you were talking about this dark matter, that a lot of the dark Madonna and black Madonna kind of collectively, like there's a lot big movement around like the rediscovering and reconnecting with the dark Madonna and black Madonna. And it's just really fascinating, because I think somehow, on this like different level, it connects to the Voyager discovering how that, like that quintessential thing. And here we can have it on so many different aspects, but like she would be like one of it, that she's kind of like rising up.
Wow, we could call her Queen Tessence. But you could have a quintessential tarot or an oracle deck, quintessential, that you can make, and the very faint, these female divine goddesses kind of coming out of the clouds, out of the quintessence. That would be beautiful.
Well, this is going to be a long interview, but that's okay. People can switch on and go off whenever they want. So everybody, we say like it was lovely to have you all here.
Goodbye.
Goodbye. But if you want to stay, please hang in. But I wanted to show you that this is that Mysteries of Mary tarot, which Hetien Grobler, she is in South Africa, actually. She's based in South Africa, and she's done 78 of the altars. I have actually an original, wait.
Wow, that sounds pretty cool. So, oh my God.
She's done 78 of those, right? And then she made it into a deck. This way, yeah. So, like all different, like.
Right. Oh, wow. From Mary's and from all over.
Different Mary, different Marys, different.
But this is her art. Is this her art or whatever? I mean.
Yeah, this is just basically like all, like she bought like a different toys and dolls. And
right.
She's done all those altars for 78 cards. Right. But now what she's finished this year, she's finished the Black Madonna deck as well. Because she
my God, that is so cool.
I know, it's so amazing.
Wow, that's oh my God.
So that quintessential dark matter kind of. Right. It's fascinating that like it comes up, on so many different levels, and we can like, some people pick up on it and like you create something.
What would you love to create if you could do anything?
Well, you know what, I love wood and I love crystals, and I used to make those ones, so I used to make all these different strange little things that I love stones, so I love painting, like that's just kind of like my Mary with the snake.
Are you doing any of that now or no?
Yeah, I still do it, yes. And this is what I used to do before tarot. That's what I used to, like how I used to earn my living, through selling those. But now, like I'm not selling that many. I'm not maybe making that many as I used to, because I do readings.
Well, can I place an order for you?
You know what I usually say? I don't do custom orders, but it's true. I don't do custom orders because when I started taking custom orders, and for example, like I used to attach, let's say somebody was going, because I always have a story attached to it. So this is, for example, my Sufi. You know, like he's got, I don't know
Yeah,
if you see,
right,
but
right,
there's
right.
like his turban, and like there's his eye,
It's
his
got this,
nose, and
it's,
his mouth, you
Sufi
know.
there. Yeah,
And I
right,
found this
right.
branch on top of the mountain in
Nice,
Croatia,
right,
in Velebit, and it was like already, you know, it's probably from juniper, and it's
right,
already went through like storms and shit, you know. So it has like,
right,
it feels really, really amazing somehow.
right.
So I have the whole story while I'm making the wand and like envisioning, I have the whole story coming through me. And this is usually
Right.
what I was, you know, attaching to my wands. But when somebody tells me, oh, I would love a tool for, you know, self-empowerment or for whatever imagination,
Right.
I had to limit myself, and that never worked for me. If I was like to tune in, oh, I want to,
I get it.
I had
Yeah.
to be totally free and, you know, just like do whatever comes now at this moment.
Right,
And
exactly.
yeah.
Right, exactly. I'm the same way with my art. My hands kind of do it.
And you don't really think, right? Like it's
Yeah.
just it's really meditative process.
Oh, absolutely. And what I've been doing creatively, I take my Voyager cards, I do big ones, I laminate them and blow them up, and then I cut them up. I cut them up, and then I put them back together in some new shape or form, and I never know. And it's like, oh my God, like I did the player, the Child of Worlds, and I did that. It looks like a seahorse. It's the coolest seahorse. And now I'm getting all the seahorse information about seahorses, how amazing and weird and wild they are. But I love that because I had no idea I was making a seahorse.
Yeah.
I just kind of let the hands do the thinking, the walking, and the talking.
But then you also see, and then you kind of take it further because then you trust it, you know, in a way, trust it, not like, oh, seahorse, I don't know, I'm going to turn into a seahorse, but you see the synchronicities, right? And you see the symbols coming through. And I think this is also the next step, that you play with it. Like, I think that's the
play with it. Play is the way.
Exactly.
It's the child again. And we don't trust that. I don't know what we want to grow up, you know, into adulthood, but just being adulterated. Adulteration is contamination by thinking we have to be this way and all that. And the most impressive book I've read recently is by an anthropologist. It's called Growing Young. Grow young. That's my mantra. Getting old is not an option. I grow young. You know, and so I mean, it's wild and crazy and alive, and I love it. Life is more fun now than ever.
Yeah, that's a perfect maybe ending to our interview. And I think, thank you so much for just, you know, being present, being inspiring. I think we just need elders who are wise, young, alive, who can actually share, you know, like share with younger generations, even way back. And that, like, it's inspiring that, you know, that is something that you can aspire to, and not just think, oh my God, like, you know, you cross 70s and you just basically go and die, because you don't see too many elder people to like be alive. You don't see too many, and maybe they are there, and maybe there's another call to like look for them, because otherwise
they can be, but and my word for it is elder wild. I am elder wild and baby wise and elder wild. Because to me, it's all about back to combining. And Voyager, those sages, the elders, but they combine with the child cards in them, and they're elder wild.
So true. You know? And I was looking at your website, you know, all the words you connect, like edutainer. Edutainer tag. And you said like, you're an activator and life navigator. I love that kind of, you know.
Well, I'm a marketing nightmare for people, because they can't put me in a box. I'm 88, you know. Thank you, Kasia. This has been great.
Much, James. It was wonderful to catch up. And actually, I do feel more inspired, and I actually feel totally even more inspired to play more with Voyager, because you know I'm like swamped with tarot cards. Like I do reviews, so I get a lot of decks sent over.
Right.
And I love art, and as you said, they like, you know, art pieces. So I'm always
Right.
like on the lookout
Wow.
for the next amazing art project. But I actually, if we never finish, you know, I wanted to share with you also, because I never done a lot of creative writing, but I used to love doing creative writing with your.
Well, duh, then that's the solution.
Yeah, every morning I was pulling up one card and I was just writing for like 20 to 30 minutes, like
wow,
not thinking, based on what I see, on the symbols, what I get. But you know, stuff that was coming out of me after a while was pretty amazing. Like to just, I didn't know it was there.
That's your book. It's your journey.
Yeah.
It's the journey to all the characters within you by picking a card a day from a different deck and all the rest. That's amazing. Yeah. That is amazing. I guarantee. Do it.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So I'm going to just stop recording. Thank you everyone for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Yeah, right. Bye-bye. Thank you.